Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Buff Breakdown. We have day 5 and now already apologies for the graphics on the screen right now. Turns out they just released the coin update and I guess that just crashed everything because they are not updating the website with the new buffs and I've been waiting for like freaking 40 minutes now. So I'm just gonna record this, but to give you an idea of who the buffs were for, the 5-star ruler turned out to be Ruler Moriarty, an MP buff actually, who was one of my main predictions until I changed it to be John to fit the theme, to fit in with Charlotte's assassin more, who actually indeed, yes, was the 1-star assassin buff. So I'm glad because she was so far behind all the others. She had nothing going for her. So that's nice. I think we're going to talk about Moriarty first. So let's see what they did. So again, it's an MP buff. Very cool. Before the buff, what did this MP do? So before damage, his overcharge, for 1 turn, he gets 20% MP damage on base, scaling up to 40%. So, you know, a cool little damage boost, but no ramp up, no nothing. It's just there. And then he has a super effective mod against good alignment enemies, 150% flat, no scaling. Not too shabby. He's a ruler, so, you know, he's used to hitting neutral, and there's definitely a lot of good alignment servants, so not a bad, super effective for him. Then after damage, he skill seals all the enemies for 1 turn, 100% base chance, and also on 100% base chance applies evil alignment to all enemies for 3 turns. Some other servants like Luvia or Astrea, if you will, can heavily benefit from stuff like this that have anti-evil super effective mods on their MPs. Pretty cool. Honestly, the MP wasn't bad effects-wise. It's just his main problem was that he just doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So them buffing the MP actually is what I would have done as well, I think, over his skills. So let's see what they did with the MP. So there's not much changes. So everything that remains the same is as follows. The skill still after damage is the same. The evil trait on enemies for 3 turns after damage is the same. The super effective mod, the 150% flat, is the same. Obviously now we have the damage buff though. But the one thing they changed was making the overcharge MP damage on himself from 1 turn to 3 turns now. The numbers remain the same from 20 to 40%, which makes sense because now it is actually a potential ramp up for his damage. No new lines were added. They just upped the standard damage upgrade and made the overcharge 3 turns. But honestly, like I said, I think the MP effects wise was already pretty solid, so they didn't really need to change or add too much. So them just making the overcharge ramp up now, I think honestly, I think this is a good change. Yeah, it's kind of boring because it doesn't add anything new, just makes his damage better. That's literally all this does, by the way, only affects his damage. But again, I think his main problem was that he just didn't do insane damage. And he is, even though, yeah, you can kind of bring him for utility for the evil stuff, the skill seal. He has some AoE buffs as well on his skill set and whatnot. So he could be brought for utility, but you kind of still wanted him to do some DPSing as well. And this definitely helps with that. Now, I don't know how his looping numbers will be because I'm pretty sure before this buff, they were just very sad. In fact, compared to Queen Io, who is a welfare and a free MP5, she just absolutely destroyed Moriarty. But maybe with this, he can actually now compete as a limited SSR, which you would hope to see, right? So I'm guessing now if you have a decent MP level on him, he can actually do more damage than Io now. Especially if you're hitting good alignment enemies, then he will actually do a lot of damage now, even on neutral, which is cool. So on the extra part 1 tier list this year, which had Ruler as well, I had him on a flat A tier, which maybe slightly generous at the time, but yeah, not too bad. He still can do a lot of different things, and with this, maybe he could be moved to A+, but I don't know. I'll have to see how great his farming numbers are first. So I'm not going to jump the gun here at all yet. I think I'm going to keep him there for now. And we'll see. Maybe this actually ends up being a bigger deal than I thought, but I still like the buff overall because it addressed the issue that I had with him personally. Good buff though. And then let's talk about Charlotte Assassin's skill buff. So it's a buff to her 3rd skill, which is great because I absolutely hated this skill. So what it used to be on a 5-turn cooldown, you could either get 30% arts for herself for 3 turns, 50% crit damage for herself for 3 turns, or 50% MP damage for herself for 3 turns. Yeah, I said either. It's an RNG skill. So when you press this button, you got one of those effects. And that's it. You have no control over it whatsoever. It was fully random. And honestly, the crit, if you got crit damage, you just wanted to uninstall because she is not a crit servant. The arts up and the MP damage can both be very beneficial though. Those are actually good buffs. Crit damage, you just don't really, there's just not much synergy for her. Now let's see what they changed. So on the same 5-turn cooldown now, they addressed the main problem, the RNG. So now you can choose. Wow, yes. They didn't change the numbers at all for the effects, but now you can choose what you get. And also one new line was added. So on use, she also gets 20 stars as a bonus. This is not one of the options. This always happens no matter what you choose. And honestly, it's a cool little line because like I said, the crit damage used to be very bad on her because she, even as an assassin, because she's arch-based, she didn't really generate any stars whatsoever. So this definitely addresses that, which is great. So now you can maybe even pick the crit damage one if you want to. But I think I'm still more... I like the look of the arts up and the big MP damage up way more than the crit damage. But, you know, stars are still a nice addition always, no matter what. So there you go. That's the skill buff for Charlotte. Now on the assassin tier list this year, I had her on a very low flat D tier. And honestly with this, as much as I like this buff, I don't think she's really going to be seeing any more picks. I feel like I can bump her into like a D plus now, but that's about it. It's a good buff that addresses the stupidness of the RNG, but she still suffers from so many... Like, she's a pure DPS, she's a 1-star, she's an assassin. She's sadly just gonna be not great. Unless they make her like a support like Matahari or something. Even Regen right now I have way higher because, yeah, he only suffers from bad numbers, but at least his kit after all the buffs is fairly solid. I still can't really say the same for Charlotte because the rest of her kit also not very good FX wise. Even after this buff to the 3rd skill. So it is a bit unfortunate, but it was much needed and it helps, and she definitely needs more buffs in the future. So here's hoping it's only the first of many to come later. That's what I'm thinking. Now, regarding tomorrow, day 6, the second to last day, since we didn't, at least in my eyes, have really a big theme today, I was thinking maybe it was going to be John because I was sure it was going to be Charlotte for the assassin for the French connection, but that didn't happen. But I also did hint that maybe the connection between her and Moriarty could be like, you know, because she stabbed someone and Moriarty is kind of evil, but I think that's a bit too far-fetched. So maybe right now, maybe there is just no theme. Maybe it was all just a coincidence at this point. Or I guess someone said the theme today could have been like the European connection, but I think that's a bit too vague in my opinion. But to give you my predictions for tomorrow though are as follows, with no themes considered. I think the foreigner is going to be either Hokusai or Jacques, hopefully again. The Jacques one is a bit more biased because I like her a lot and I think the one buff she got like last year was very bad, so I'm hoping they do something more. Hokusai definitely needs more buffs though. She is every year she looks weaker. And I think the 3-star rider will be Medusa because they kind of, you know, gave her some love with Saber last year, but a rider OG still sucks a lot, so they could easily fix her. Now for potential combos, if they want to theme it up, someone in the comments suggested Voyager and Columbus because, you know, exploration theme. I thought that was pretty cute. And one I came up with myself would be Yang Guifei and Red Hair because the China connection, but since they didn't do the French one today either, even though they did the America one, I don't know, we'll see. But I think my actual needing and deserving buffs would be Hokusai and Medusa personally, so we'll see how it ends up going. So there you go, that'll do it for today's buff breakdown. Again, apologies for the graphics. If I had to guess, they will be up as soon as I post this video, but right now I just wanted to get this out there because I also got a stream today. Yeah, that's the thing. I think today was maybe the lamest of the buffs so far. By no means bad stuff though, very much deserved buffs. Pretty solid buffs as well, but won't really be changing too many things, I want to say, but I could be wrong on Moriarty. We'll see. Now, if you enjoyed this video, do be a solid and click the thumbs up button. Really helps out, of course, and do check out the coin update video I just posted as well. I'm hoping I got everything correct. I had to read the letter pretty fast, but yeah, overall, I think it's a very positive change. In fact, it's arguably now better for coins than what it used to be before the anniversary, which is what you would hope from an update. I still would like to see more updates for coins and improvements, but it's already a very nice change in my opinion. Also, subscribe not to miss out on future videos, including tomorrow's buff breakdown with the aforementioned predictions hopefully coming true. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and bye bye.